Okay guys, I just wanted to make a couple of quick tutorial videos to cover some of the stuff that we went over in class, just to make sure that we have somewhere to turn in case we try to do some work on our process books or our presentation boards over the break and we draw a blank on what we have. So I'm just going to get right into it here, and we'll go with InDesign, and I'm just going to crack open a brand a brand new file here. And I'm using my home computer, which can be a little bit difficult. So let's just create a new document here. I'm going to make it a 10-page document. And the size is something to talk about right off the bat. A couple of the tutorials that I did in class, I did an 8.5 by 11 layout to do like a magazine cover. For this one, I'm just going to do a 6 by 4 layout size. And if your InDesign is set to points with a PO here, you can just type in 6IN 4IN for 6 inches and 4 inches, and that's a little hack to get around that. Okay, so there we go. So I'm just going to start out with 10 pages. There'll probably be more pages in your book. I'm thinking our process book should be between, probably 12, 15, maybe 20 pages at the max, allowing for about 2 to 4 pages per project. Okay, I'm just going to start with 10, and I'll show you how to add some extra pages as we move on. Okay, so let's just do this, and I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And then I'm just going to zoom out here. Now, as I said, guys, I am on my home computer, so I'm going to be a little bit shaky on the hotkeys, but let's just zoom out and make sure we've got all of our pages here. Fantastic. There we go. So we are good to go. The thing I mentioned in class a lot was this Pages panel. And in the Pages panel, we see a couple of things. We see a full overview of the entire book as it is with the side-by-side page layouts. We also have access then to our master pages, and the master pages were a little confusing for people. The idea behind the master page, of course, is that you can double click on this master page and you can add things like a text block of some sort. Here's the text block, and I can go here to type, and I can go to fill with placeholder text. It will fill that little text block with some type. I can then get in here and I can add some of these things here, rectangular frame tools. These are for images. Anywhere you think you're going to have images, you can jump in here and you can add a couple of these boxes, which will then hold images later on. Okay, and as we look over here at our pages panel, we see anything we do to this master is then distributed throughout all of the pages of our book. Okay, let's see, let me just adjust this a little bit. There we go, and we'll get this lined up. InDesign is really good about lining up things, text blocks to image frames and so on and so forth. So let's just continue this out, and I'm just going to add one big image frame here where I know I can put images, and we're just going to call it just like that. Okay, good. So I've inserted some stuff into the master. Okay, and now if I click on any of the pages in the main page block in the Pages panel, I see that now all of my pages all have the same layout on them. One really important key is just that if I try to click on any of these pages, see, I'm clicking, I'm trying to grab stuff, it's not working. As you go through your pages and you want to add content to these layouts that your master page has given you, you have to open up, you have to break or override that master per page. So try to understand the difference between the pages that are down here in the main body of your book and then the master pages that are up here. Okay, so I'm just going to start with the cover so that I know where my cover is. Okay, if I right click on the page inside the Pages panel, in the pages that are in the body of the book, not on the master page, but if I right click on the pages inside here and go to override master page items, override all master page items, you see what happens. You see how these down here, which are unlocked, are dotted and dashed, and now these ones up here have a solid blue line. This means that I can now get in here and I can insert some imagery into these boxes, or I can edit this type if I want to. Okay, so I can go and do whatever I want now that I have this unlocked. I can also, in this case, I can delete this stuff now, and I can start to fill out some imagery on here for my book. So if I wanted to, I can drop an image down on here. All right, now as far as putting images into your book, remember, the way we do it is we place images. We don't cut or paste or drag and drop or anything like that. We're going to go to File, and then we're going to go to Place. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to go here to this magazine folder. I'm going to go to some links that I've got. Here's a picture of my dog again. We all remember this photo. All right, and I can go here and I can after going to place, you'll see that you get the image kind of stuck to your cursor. You can just click down anywhere on the page and it will drop that image. Now this image hasn't been photoshopped yet, but I just want to quickly right off the bat make the point about placing images. Okay, this is like a very short tutorial to just remind you of how to do this stuff. Okay, now another thing to notice while we're here is that we've got this kind of faded blue outline. That's our rectangular frame tool that our image is sitting inside. If we double click this image, that blue frame tool turns kind of brownish orange. You see that kind of brownish orange? That's your transform box. So that actually allows you to take this image and scale it. So if I hold down Shift and then scale this down, I can actually scale this image to any size that I want inside of its rectangular frame. Okay, so now let's see what we've got here. So you can still see the image frame box around the actual image, and then when I double click the image, you can see the transform box inside of the image frame. Okay, so there we go. So let's just put this on here. All right, and I'm gonna just kind of scale it out just like that, and we're gonna call that the cover, just like that. Okay, boom, done. We've put an image into InDesign. That's how you do it. You go File, Place, done. Okay, now that we've scaled this down, we can actually use this image frame to crop the photo. See how it's sticking out the bottom over here and it's sticking up on the top? We can just close this image frame around the image to crop it to size. So that's one benefit of the image frame that is pretty cool, is if you happen to put an image into InDesign that's a little bit bigger than your layout, you can use the frame to crop it. Okay, you could see the frame on this one is really big. It goes down like three layouts. So there we go. Okay, so boom, we've got that there. Now let me see here. Let me see if I can just zoom in on this puppy for a second, literally. Now he looks a little bit pixelated. Okay, that probably has something to do with the display performance. Remember we talked about this in class. InDesign always gives you a little bit of a faded, kind of low resolution version of anything you stick into it, whether it's Illustrator graphics or whether it's nice clean imagery like this. So if you go to View, Display Performance, you can get a little preview of what a high quality display would be. Okay, now this image hasn't been photoshopped yet, so changing to high quality display doesn't really give us too much, but once I throw some stuff in and once we Photoshop this, you'll see a bigger difference. Okay, but the main point in this very first video is just trying to understand what is a master page for. It's for giving you a layout that's going to be distributed amongst all your pages. Once you want to add content to any of those pages in your main document, you have to go right click and override in order to edit those contents. So if I click here on page 2, for instance, and I want to add a photo to this, I have to go into this pages panel, override the master page items. They'll then become editable, and then I can add content or delete as needed. As far as our class is concerned, we're not going to be too strict on sticking to any sort of a grid, but it is part of learning InDesign that you understand what this master page is and what it can do for you later on down the road when you get more serious about creating layouts for your promotional materials or booklets or whatever you're going to do later on, if you're ever going to do anything. Okay, so try to get yourself some sort of a layout down on the master page, or make the conscious decision not to, but just use this video as a way to remind yourself what the capabilities are there. Then try to get yourself comfortable with the concept of placing images into InDesign, not cutting and pasting or dragging and dropping them in, because that will only cause you trouble as your files move around with you. Okay? Now, I'm going to shut this first video down because I don't want to get too lengthy with these. I know that you guys don't want to sit around watching tutorials forever, but I am going to do a whole series of shorter videos just to keep us up to date on what we're up to and how we're going to do it. So for that one, I'm going to let you go, and then stay tuned for the next one where I'll talk to you about adding text, and we'll go back into Photoshop. We'll Photoshop this kind of blurry photo of the dog, and then we'll just keep working this out, and you can keep tuning into the videos along your break. So okay, thanks a lot. Bye bye.